Rocky Mountain Prep. Welcome to Rigor and Love. I'm very excited because we have a very special guest, and we are coming to you from my office, which is pink. Um, and I'm very excited to introduce you to someone really special. I'm biased, though. We have talked a lot at Rocky Mountain Prep about making sure we're serving our students really well. And I thought there's probably no better way to understand a student's experience than to actually talk to one. And I have the honor and privilege of having a middle schooler, a real life middle schooler, living in my home. Very excited to introduce you to my daughter, Mia. She is in 7th grade, and she has agreed to speak openly and honestly about her experiences as a middle schooler. And I am just her mom, so she has no problem telling me exactly what she thinks. And really excited to share this with all of you. So, Mia, before we get started, I know you really well, clearly. They do not. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How old are you? What are some things that you really enjoy doing inside of school? And then what are things you enjoy outside of school?
Okay. So hi, I'm Mia. I'm 13 years old. Some things I enjoy doing out of school,
It's okay.
is coloring. I love coloring. I also love reading lots of books, mainly fictional books or romance books. Inside school, I love doing math.
And just so we can establish this very clearly for everyone out there, I want to know, did I tell you what to say or give you any sort of parameters or restrictions on what you could say?
No, you did not.
Okay. And what did you tell me if I tried to?
Oh, I said that if you tried to, that I would find a way around the script and turn into my own thing.
So, my first question is, what makes a class or a teacher really good, in your opinion?
They shouldn't be assuming what's happening in your outside life and just assuming you're being mean for a specific reason or just randomly doing it. That's what lots of teachers do.
Yeah. What does it look like or sound like when a teacher is making assumptions about a student?
Like when they're saying things like, "Oh, you're not trying hard enough," or "Hey, can you stop doing this because I know you're trying to avoid your work." Stuff like that, like saying "I know" and then an after statement about that.
What do you enjoy doing in terms of your academic classes? So I think something teachers often think about is the work too hard for students? Or I might not want to challenge my students because I don't want them to feel bad. So what would you say? What are the types of assignments or things that you really enjoy doing in school?
I really enjoy doing my math class, and mainly my math class because I got to move up to 8th grade math, and that was very helpful for me. It's starting to be more challenging. I also enjoy ELA because there's not really like that much talking, and sometimes I just need a break from socializing with people, and so that class is like perfect. And like all we have to do is read some little chapters, or in our case, vignettes right now, and so that's very relaxing. I also like social studies because Demink makes things really fun.
Mm. Tell everyone a little bit about what you're doing in your math class right now. What have you been working on for the past few weeks?
In my math class right now, I'm working on a math essay, which may sound weird because not lots of teachers assign that, but actually it's a lot more fun than it sounds.
Okay, so when you just talked about that, there's a bunch of teachers out there that are like, I could never get my students to do that. And that doesn't sound very fun at all, but you said it was fun. What makes that essay fun or interesting? Because I also notice you pull your laptop out every night to work on it, even like I don't have to ask you to do it. So what makes that so fun or interesting to you?
Well, first of all, our teacher, he says that he wants us to add our personality in it.
Mm.
So, for example, one of my classmates are writing their essay in a mystery story form.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so like it's actually is really good. I got to read a little bit of it because
Yeah.
he was showing an example of what threes look like.
What do you think about teachers with high expectations? So, for example, something we talk about a lot at Rocky Mountain Prep, and we kind of debate sometimes, is this idea of whether we should set goals for our students, or whether we, should show them how they've done on an assessment or a test, or whether we should give feedback on how they can improve or get better. What would you say about that?
In my opinion, like for me, I would like the feedback to be very light, also straightforward instead of them trying to give me a bunch of details in it.
Mm.
So my brain won't get confused and I'll automatically be like, oh, okay, I need to fix this.
Mm.
So I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Just depending on how you're doing it.
Yeah. Do you like having goals for yourself?
Oh yes, I love goals, but the goal should be a reasonable one and one you know your student can meet.
Mm. Yeah. Very good advice. So one of the big goals we have this year at Rocky Mountain Prep is around students becoming millionaires. So reading 1 million words or 2 million words. And for our middle schoolers, this is a brand new goal. This is not a goal that they've had before. Now, I know this is a goal you have met and exceeded many times. And I also remember when you first started out with this goal in second grade, you weren't that excited about meeting this goal.
Oh,
So,
I tried.
Yeah, no, you did, but you didn't enjoy reading, I guess, as much as you do now.
No, not then.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to our middle and high school teachers and staff on how to help all of our students become as active and excited as a reader as you are?
I would start off by having the students getting to read what book they want in the beginning, and then also having them switch off to a book that's a little bit harder than their Lexile.
Mm.
Like, not by too much, just like a little bit, because then that'll help them be more interested, and they'll be like, oh, so I get to read this first, and then I get to read that. That sounds like a reasonable deal.
Yeah. So one, I'm just really proud of the way that you articulated that. I'm gonna take a few notes on that too. And two, your logic is really smart, because around this idea of like you can read a book that's a little bit harder or higher than your Lexile if you're really interested in it, and that's what you want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna tell on you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Something Mia loves to talk to me about, sometimes complain about, is the behavior of other students.
Oh,
she has very strong opinions. I have to say she probably comes by it honestly, about student behavior and the way that you would like for students to behave. So can you share with the group what are some things that really annoy you in terms of teachers allowing certain behaviors in class?
I wish my teachers like corrected their students' mistakes, but not like in a parenting way. Like I would prefer if you did this, please, or if you called me this.
Mm.
Or like I prefer if you didn't just scream at me no.
Yeah. Why do you think teachers don't do that as often?
Well, because the student's probably going to go home and tell their parents, but like make it sound more dramatic and like the teacher was yelling at them. And so the parent is going to call that teacher or like email them and be like, hey, why are you talking to my kid like this? And so then they have to deal with that. And that's just really annoying because like they just finished work. Like they don't want to deal with that. I'm sorry to tell you.
So a bunch of teachers out there right now are cheering because you have a high degree of empathy for the job. Something I feel like we know as adults to be true, but we forget, which is kids of all ages like structure. They like having rules and expectations. They like knowing when something's going to happen, and they like being clear.
Oh my god, that's me.
Yeah, that's actually all kids, right? And so as people are listening to you, they might be thinking, well, a lot of my students don't want that. Because a lot of times students don't speak the way that you're speaking, which is
Straightforward.
I do want that. That is what I want. So, what advice would you give them if they're like, what me is saying sounds great, but my students don't want that?
Okay. The advice I'd give you is talk to your students about it. Talk to them about what you would also like, because you're also a real life human being.
Okay, before we close out, something I love to ask every single person that I talk to is, what are you reading right now that you would like to recommend for other people to read that you're really liking?
There are multiple books,
Great.
but some of them right now I'm almost done with the series. The Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm.
That one is actually really good, and I love it. The third book is kind of boring me, but that's only because there's less action than the other two, and I prefer the action happening than reading about people talking.
You actually told me there wasn't enough death. That was the actual phrase. And I had a little bit of a moment like, oh, maybe I've messed up this parenting
No, you
thing.
didn't mess up, Mom.
Oh, okay.
It's just I like the horror and the violence.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Some more books I would recommend is, this one might sound childish, but I really like it. It's called Warrior Cats. It's really good in my opinion.
Tell them what is Warrior Cats.
Oh, Warrior Cats is about these like wild cats. And it's about all the different challenges they go through. One more book I like, it's like a graphic novel, more like Lore Olympus. You got me those ones. I love Lore Olympus. It has romance, it has the drama. There's also some death parts. But basically Lore Olympus is Greek mythology. It has the characters like Persephone, Hades, Ares, there's Athena. It has all the characters, and they're all different colors. Like, for example, Persephone's pink, Hades is blue, Zeus is purple. Yeah, things like that.
Yeah, that was a really good series, and from that you got really interested in Greek mythology. You started asking about it more. You and your dad started nerding on that. I don't know that much
I think
about.
me and Dad are just always nerding.
They are always nerding. Mia, I am just really pleased that you took time out of your after school schedule. I literally went and picked you up from school and brought you right back here to my office. Thank you for doing that, and I probably don't tell you nearly enough how proud I am of you. Just the way that you're able to speak and clearly express yourself and give your opinions gives me a lot of pride and joy. And I want nothing more for you than to continue to grow in your confidence and being the strong, brave woman that you are. And never be afraid to checkity check me and tell me what I can do better as your mom, because I respect your opinion. You are one of my personal heroes. I often think to myself during the day when I'm doing something, what would Mia do about this, or what would Mia say about this? And that
I'd probably be really sassy and straightforward.
and that's what I need, and that oftentimes that gives me the courage and conviction to do what I need to do. So thank you for sharing that with me, and thank you for sharing that with 600 of my closest friends. We will make sure we have more of those books in all of our schools. And thank you so much, Mia. And we're going to tell everyone bye.
Bye.